They say love heals, but when love starts to change, it can also quietly hurt your heart and mind in ways most people never notice. You see, the body and emotions are deeply connected. The way you think, feel, and react in your relationships doesn't just shape your mood, it directly influences your heart rate, blood pressure, and even your circulation. And that's why emotional awareness is a form of health awareness. When something feels off in love, when your instincts tell you there's distance, even if words sound perfect, your body often senses the truth before your mind admits it. That uneasy gut feeling, the tightness in your chest, the restless sleep, they're not random. They're signals that your emotional environment has changed and your heart is responding to it. Many men ignore these early signs. They trust what they hear instead of what they feel. But science now shows that emotional conflict triggers measurable physical stress responses, higher cortisol, faster heartbeats, and reduced nitric oxide levels in the blood, which means poorer circulation and more strain on your cardiovascular system. In other words, emotional disconnection is not just a relationship problem, it's a health problem. And that's what this video is truly about, understanding how emotional honesty, awareness, and healthy boundaries can protect not only your heart emotionally, but also physically. Let's start with one of the most misunderstood moments in a relationship, when a woman says, "I just need some space." On the surface, it sounds simple and respectful. Everyone needs personal time. But when that phrase comes from emotional exhaustion or detachment, it often means much more. In many cases, it's not about needing rest, it's about testing distance. Psychologically, when someone starts pulling away, they're trying to reestablish a sense of control over their emotions. They're asking, how does it feel to be alone again? And while that may sound like a relationship issue, it's also a biological one. During emotional withdrawal, the body increases adrenaline and decreases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Over time, that imbalance can lead to anxiety, poor sleep, even changes in digestion and immune strength. So, what should you do when this happens? Don't chase, don't panic, observe. If your partner says she needs space, give it. But focus that time on grounding your own emotions, not waiting in fear. Go for walks, stay hydrated, regulate your breathing. Studies show that simple habits like deep diaphragmatic breathing and daily sunlight exposure lower cortisol levels and help balance mood hormones. That calmness will do more for both your relationship and your heart than any argument ever could. Because often, when one person detaches emotionally, the other starts overreacting, creating even more stress. Learning to stay centered during emotional turbulence is one of the healthiest skills any man can develop, mentally and physically. Now, let's talk about another moment that quietly tests your emotional intelligence when she says, "He's just a friend." Most men hear that and immediately feel tension, confusion, even jealousy. And while not every friendship is a threat, your body's response, that tightening in your stomach, is your nervous system detecting inconsistency. This isn't about being controlling, it's about recognizing when emotional energy has shifted. Before infidelity ever happens, emotional attachment usually moves first. Someone new becomes a source of validation, laughter, or comfort. And each time that emotional connection deepens elsewhere, the intimacy at home weakens. When emotional loyalty drifts, your stress levels rise. Research has shown that emotional uncertainty in relationships activates the same neural circuits as physical pain. That's why it literally hurts, like it's your brain's way of saying something's wrong. If you ignore that pain, your body starts to adapt in unhealthy ways. Shallow breathing, faster pulse, increased inflammation. Over time, this emotional stress can lead to hypertension, poor digestion, and even higher risk of heart disease. So the goal isn't to accuse or spy, it's to manage your stress response before it becomes chronic. Breathe slower, journal instead of overthinking, go for a run, lift weights, do something that reminds your body it's safe again. Because emotional uncertainty might not always be avoidable, but physical collapse from stress is. Emotional self-regulation is one of the most powerful forms of prevention. When you keep your mind grounded, your heart follows. Remember, energy in relationships is always two-way. If she's giving emotional energy elsewhere, don't fight for her attention. Reclaim your own. Spend that energy improving your health, your routine, your peace, because when you strengthen yourself, you also create clarity. You stop reacting out of fear and start responding with awareness. Then comes the third phrase many men misunderstand. "I'm just not in the mood lately." At first, it sounds like physical fatigue or hormonal fluctuation, and sometimes it is. But repeated disinterest often hides emotional detachment. You might notice she still functions normally. She talks, laughs, does her daily routine, but something feels missing. That missing spark is emotional connection. When it fades, the body naturally reduces oxytocin and dopamine during intimacy. This makes closeness feel less rewarding, even uncomfortable. For the man on the receiving end, this change can be devastating but also dangerous to his health. Studies have found that rejection or emotional coldness increases stress hormones just like physical danger does. You may start sleeping poorly, losing appetite, or feeling mentally drained, all signs that your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight. The solution isn't to beg for attention or demand answers, it's to protect your emotional balance. Start by grounding your body first, through movement, nutrition, and routine. A 20-minute walk, magnesium rich foods like spinach or almonds, and maintaining hydration all help regulate the nervous system. When your body calms down, your mind becomes clearer. From that calm state, you can have honest conversations, not emotional ones. You can ask what's been on your mind lately, wow, rather than why don't you want me anymore? That shift in tone keeps both of you out of defensiveness and opens the door to truth. Even if that truth is uncomfortable, it's better for your heart, both emotionally and physically, than living in quiet anxiety. Because when you suppress emotional stress, your blood vessels tighten, your sleep suffers, and your energy drops. Honesty, even when it hurts, is a form of healing. And when you hear you're overthinking it, that's another moment where awareness matters. Many men have been trained to doubt their intuition. But intuition isn't insecurity. It's your subconscious detecting patterns before logic does. When something feels wrong, it's often because subtle shifts in behavior, tone, and energy have already occurred. Ignoring those signals doesn't make you strong, it makes you disconnected. Biologically, doubt creates stress. Your brain produces more cortisol and adrenaline as it tries to suppress uncomfortable truths. That combination, over time, can lead to chronic inflammation, one of the biggest contributors to heart disease, fatigue, and poor mental focus. So when you're told you're overthinking, pause and observe, but don't suppress your instincts. Take notes mentally, stay calm, protect your peace. Because peace, not confrontation, reveals truth faster. People who are honest will naturally open up when they feel calm energy. Those who hide things will become defensive. The lesson here is simple. Awareness isn't paranoia. It's protection for your heart, your mind, and your health. Every time you listen to your gut instead of your fear, you strengthen the most powerful diagnostic system you have, your intuition. Sometimes the words sound honest. I'm just not happy anymore. On the surface, it feels like a confession, maybe even a cry for help, but beneath it, something deeper is happening. When a partner says she's not happy, it's rarely a sudden realization. It's often the final step in a long emotional process that's been unfolding quietly for weeks or months. She's not always looking for change, she's preparing for detachment. And as painful as that sounds, understanding it is essential not just for emotional clarity, but for your mental and physical health. Because unhappiness in a relationship doesn't only break emotional balance, it disrupts physiological harmony. Chronic emotional tension raises cortisol and adrenaline, which can constrict blood vessels and reduce oxygen supply to your heart and brain. Over time, this can manifest as fatigue, poor focus, or chest tightness that feels like anxiety. So when your partner says she's not happy, don't rush to fix it from fear. Step back, breathe, and listen without panic. A calm response regulates your own nervous system and prevents emotional stress from turning into physical strain. Here's the truth most men never learn. Emotional pain unprocessed becomes physical exhaustion. You might start sleeping less, skipping meals, or using alcohol to cope, and those habits silently wear down your body. What you need most in these moments isn't to beg for love, it's to ground your health. Drink more water, maintain your sleep cycle, eat heart-supportive foods rich in omega-3s and antioxidants. Your emotional resilience begins with your physical stability. Once your body is balanced, your mind can think clearly again. When a woman detaches emotionally, she often creates a contrast in her mind between what she has and what she desires. Psychologically, this is called emotional displacement. Transferring excitement from one source to another. Sometimes it's another person, sometimes it's an idea, a dream, or the fantasy of freedom. And when that fantasy grows, her perception of you shifts. She starts remembering the past selectively, focusing on your flaws instead of your strengths, justifying her distance by rewriting the story of your relationship. This isn't about logic, it's about emotional self-preservation. Guilt pushes her to find reasons to detach. The man who panics, pleads, or tries to prove his worth reinforces that emotional distance. The man who stays calm, however, forces reality to surface. By remaining grounded, you don't fuel her narrative, you expose it. Emotional steadiness is not weakness, it's quiet power. It's the difference between reacting from fear and responding from awareness. And that difference affects not only your peace of mind, but also your biological health. When you remain calm, your body shifts from fight or flight to rest and digest mode. Blood flow improves, your heartbeat steadies, your digestion normalizes, and your thinking sharpens. Emotional composure is literally medicine for the heart. Then comes one of the most convincing phrases of all: I would never do that. Those words sound so pure, so believable, because in that moment, she probably means it. But emotional fidelity isn't about declarations, it's about discipline and awareness. Every human being is capable of emotional drift when their needs go unmet for too long. It's not always intentional, sometimes it's a subconscious search for validation. When someone feels unseen, underappreciated, or emotionally disconnected, their brain starts craving dopamine, the chemical of reward and novelty. And if that reward begins coming from another source, boundaries start to blur quietly. This is how emotional betrayal often begins, not through physical acts, but through mental escapism. It starts with innocent messages, shared laughter, deep conversations, or subtle admiration that feels new. Each interaction triggers small dopamine spikes that feel emotionally satisfying. Over time, the brain starts associating that person with happiness and relief while associating you with pressure or guilt. That's how connection fades. Chemically, not just emotionally. For men, understanding this process is vital. It's not about control or suspicion. It's about awareness of how the brain responds to emotional scarcity. When love becomes one-sided, both partners enter a biological imbalance. One seeks validation, the other feels confusion. Both experience stress that damages the body in different ways. The woman's guilt can lead to anxiety and restlessness. The man's doubt can lead to fatigue, reduced testosterone, and inflammation. These aren't abstract emotional consequences, they're measurable physical outcomes. That's why protecting your peace is not selfish, it's survival. And when she says, I'd never cheat or I'd never lie, listen to the tone, not the words, because genuine security doesn't need to prove itself. Emotionally healthy people show loyalty through consistency, through their habits, not promises. You'll notice how they set boundaries naturally, how their energy remains stable, how their affection doesn't fluctuate with mood. Those patterns reveal truth far more than declarations ever could. It's crucial for men to understand that emotional dissatisfaction is one of the strongest predictors of both physical and mental decline. When your heart feels disconnected for too long, you begin to produce chronic stress hormones. Over time, that imbalance affects everything: your metabolism, your immune system, your motivation. That's why awareness isn't just psychological maturity, it's health maintenance. Learning to read energy, tone, and emotional temperature in your relationships helps you detect imbalance early before it turns into deeper pain. So, how do you protect yourself from emotional depletion? By creating stability from within. That means daily movement to circulate blood and release tension. It means setting boundaries where you no longer tolerate mixed signals or constant confusion. It means communicating with calmness, not desperation. And most importantly, it means choosing honesty with yourself over comfort with illusion. When you stop needing reassurance from someone else to feel safe, you start living from emotional strength instead of emotional hunger. Men often think strength means never showing emotion, but true strength is self-regulation, staying balanced even when things around you fall apart. That balance supports your hormones, stabilizes your heart rhythm, and protects your mind from burnout. Every time you respond with awareness instead of anger, your body thanks you. Your heart literally beats more evenly, your breathing deepens, and your blood pressure stabilizes. Awareness doesn't mean you assume the worst, it means you see clearly. It's not about controlling anyone, it's about refusing to be controlled by confusion. Because when you live in denial, your body feels the weight of that truth you refuse to face. But when you live in clarity, your body relaxes. Honesty releases tension. Clarity lowers stress. Truth is the healthiest form of closure you can give yourself. Here's the reality most men avoid facing. Emotional stress doesn't begin with lies. It ends with them. The real damage starts long before the words change. It begins in the silence, in the unspoken distance, in the moments where your intuition whispers that something feels off, but you convince yourself it's nothing. The body always knows first. Your heartbeat changes, your breathing shortens, your muscles tense. Those are not signs of weakness. They're your body's warning that emotional truth is being ignored. When you start living in constant doubt, your nervous system stays in a low-grade state of survival. You may not realize it, but that background tension affects everything: your focus, your immunity, your blood flow. Research shows that chronic emotional uncertainty raises inflammation levels, which can accelerate aging, weaken your heart, and drain your mental energy. That's why self awareness isn't just about relationships, it's about survival. The ability to read emotional truth protects your body from invisible damage. Most men lose themselves because they trade clarity for peace. They don't want conflict, so they suppress what they feel. But suppression is the slowest form of self destruction. When you silence your instincts to keep the relationship calm, you store emotional pressure in your body. Over time, it leaks out through stress, irritability, or fatigue. The solution isn't to become cold or detached, it's to become emotionally intelligent. You can love deeply and still stay aware. You can be kind without being blind. Here's a truth that's hard to accept. When a partner lies or withdraws, it's not the end of your worth, it's the beginning of your awakening. Every emotional wound is a signal to reconnect with yourself. The goal isn't to punish or to chase, it's to heal. Healing begins when you stop asking, "Why did she change?" and start asking, "What have I ignored within myself?" Because the same energy that can make you desperate for answers can also be redirected into building resilience. You don't need revenge, you need rest. You need sleep that isn't haunted by overthinking. You need water, sunlight, and movement to release the stress your body's been carrying. You need to let your nervous system remember what safety feels like again, because once you calm the body, clarity follows. You begin to see patterns clearly: who reciprocates energy, who drains it, and who genuinely cares. When you live in calm observation rather than emotional chaos, deception can't survive around you. When someone hides the truth, they rely on your emotional instability to keep their secret safe. But when you become still, when your energy is centered, their comfort begins to fade. Silence from a man who sees clearly is powerful. It forces truth to surface without argument. You don't need to yell, beg, or demand explanations. You only need to stay grounded in your own peace. That peace becomes your shield. It protects your health, your dignity, and your future. There's a point every man reaches after heartbreak. A moment when you realize that closure doesn't come from someone else's apology. It comes from your decision to stop bleeding energy into places that don't value it. That's when transformation begins. The stress hormones that once came from anxiety start to fade. Your breathing deepens, your heart rate steadies. You start rebuilding confidence not through someone's validation, but through your own discipline. This is where emotional awareness becomes physical healing. Science now confirms what wisdom has always known. Peace of mind lowers blood pressure, improves circulation, and strengthens the immune system. When you let go of resentment, your body literally heals faster. When you forgive, not to forget, but to free yourself, your brain releases serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals of recovery and joy. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's biochemical renewal. It's your body's way of saying, "I'm done carrying what's not mine." As you move forward, remember this simple rule: awareness is protection. The more you understand human behavior, especially your own reactions, the less power deceit will ever have over you. When you know your emotional triggers, you no longer get trapped by manipulation. When you know your value, you stop chasing clarity from people who thrive on confusion. This mindset doesn't just make you stronger emotionally, it makes you healthier physically. Your cardiovascular system stabilizes, your stress hormones balance, and your sleep improves. That's the power of awareness. True strength is not coldness, it's composure. It's the ability to stay kind without becoming naive. It's choosing dignity over desperation. Every time you stay calm in the face of emotional chaos, you're teaching your body that it's safe, that it no longer needs to operate in survival mode. That peace reflects in your heartbeat, your breathing, even in your posture. You start moving with grounded confidence, and people feel it. So if you've ever been lied to, gaslighted, or made to feel crazy for trusting your instincts, understand this: your intuition wasn't broken. It was your protection. It tried to warn you long before the truth came out. Don't punish it, strengthen it. The more you trust your inner radar, the less you'll need to question anyone else. Because emotional awareness isn't just knowledge, it's self-defense. In the end, relationships will come and go, but your peace must remain. Don't live waiting for someone to tell you the truth. Live so clearly that lies can't live near you. Protect your energy the way you protect your heart. Keep your body strong, your mind clear, and your emotions grounded. Because a man who knows his worth doesn't fear losing someone who hides the truth. He fears losing himself trying to believe it. And that's the essence of real health. When your mind, heart, and body align in truth, you stop chasing what drains you and start nurturing what restores you. You eat better, breathe deeper, sleep longer, and move more intentionally. You replace anxiety with awareness, resentment with reflection, and fear with faith in your own strength. That's when you become unbreakable. Not bitter, not numb, but fully alive. So if this message speaks to you, take it as a reminder healing isn't found in her apology, it's found in your awareness. The moment you stop seeking truth outside and start living it inside, your life begins to transform. Stay calm, stay grounded, and above all, stay honest with yourself.